The early history of the Dalelands is intricately tied to the Standing Stone and the pact made between humans and elves, marking the beginning of what is known as the Dale Reckoning calendar. This period predates the founding of any of the existing Dales by hundreds of years, back to a time when places like Suzail and Shondathan, now Sirloon, were merely coastal trading posts. The vast forests of this region were under the dominion of the elves, who entertained a request from settlers from lands such as Impiltur and Damara. These settlers did not seek to inhabit the elvish forests, but rather to farm and settle its borders, specifically the fertile dells and dales along the rivers Archen and Ashaba. In exchange for aid against outside aggression, the elven court granted these settlers permission, leading to the erection of the Standing Stone, where the road from Mistledale meets the road from Assembra to Hillsfar. The raising of the stone is an event from which the Dale Reckoning takes its beginning, symbolizing the moment humans were officially allowed to settle in the lands to the north and west of the Inner Sea. Over time, as elvish woods receded under the pressures of further invasions and settlements, old dales perished and new ones emerged along the peripheries of the diminishing forests. This cycle of creation and dissolution, fueled by both the ambitions of good and ill-intentioned men, saw the rise of petty nations within the Dalelands. Eventually, these petty kingdoms established a pact, and any Dale that turned against the shared principles faced opposition from the collective might of all the others, maintaining a balance of independence and mutual defense that characterizes the Dalelands to this day. The Dalelands, nestled around and within Cormanthor Forest and west of the Sea of Fallen Stars, are characterized by their unique geographical features, each playing a significant role in the region's ecology, economy, and society. A mysterious and dense forest, the Archwood, is rumored to be haunted and sprawls across Archendale, Deepingdale, and Tasseldale. Dominated by oak, ash, and elm, it is notorious for being home to dangerous owlbears. Despite its economic potential for woodcutting, such practices are nearly universally banned. Originating from the Stormhorn Mountains and winding its way through many of the dales before plunging over Feather Falls into the Scar, eventually flowing into the Dragonreach Fjord of the Sea of Fallen Stars, the river Ashaba supports several communities along its banks, including Feather Falls, Chandler's Cross, and Scardale Town. Its waters are a lifeline for many, bolstering local economies, especially in Featherdale, and providing essential resources for agriculture and trade. A formidable mountain range that forms the southern boundary of the Dalelands, the Thunder Peaks separate it from Cormyr. These mountains are rich in minerals like copper and iron, although they are sparsely populated mainly by hobgoblins, hill giants, and wyverns. The Thunder Peaks are aptly named for the continuous thunderstorms that shroud them, making travel through Tilbur's Gap and Thunder Gap particularly treacherous during the winter months due to heavy snowfall. Rather than being united under a single ruler or government, the Dalelands consists of various dales, each maintaining its own local form of independent government. These range from lordships, as seen in Shadowdale, where a single lord rules, to republics like Archendale, which is governed by a council known as the Swords of Archendale. Despite their individual governance, the Dalelands are united by a common council known as the Dales Council. This council, convening annually at midwinter, serves a platform for representatives from each Dale to discuss matters of trade, diplomatic relations with other nations, and disputes that arise between the Dales themselves. Although these meetings often devolve into fruitless arguments, the presence of a common threat has historically unified the Dales into a single formidable force. This is evident in their collective response to external aggressions, such as attempts by Sembia to annex their territory, or the machinations of the Gentarim. The Dales Council's ability to convene emergency sessions in response to immediate threats to the region underscores their capacity for unified action despite their otherwise decentralized governments. This mechanism ensures that while each Dale maintains its autonomy and local governance, they can come together to address challenges that affect the Dalelands as a whole. This form of governance, characterized by a strong sense of control and commitment to mutual aid in times of crisis, is perhaps what has allowed the Dalelands to maintain their independence and resist subjugation by neighboring powers. The Dalelands exemplify a model of governance where autonomy and cooperation coexist, enabled by structures like the Dales Council that facilitate collective action while respecting the sovereignty of each member community. The Dales can be broadly categorized into three distinct economic classifications: trading Dales, transitional Dales, and rustic Dales. Trading Dales are bustling nations characterized by large populations and cosmopolitan cities. Interactions with foreign powers are common, fostering notable urban sophistication. Archendale, a prominent mercantile autocracy, displays aggressive tendencies and is under threat from Sembia, leading to a unified front by its citizens to maintain its independence. Scardale, with its resilient people and enduring history of conflict, eventually fell under Sembian influence in the 15th century. Transitional Dales, straddling the line between influential trading centers and rural areas, included Deepingdale, renowned for its prosperity and unity between humans and elves, and Harrowdale, an independent republic experiencing increasing wealth and formal alliances. Rustic Dales, rooted in agricultural heritage, encompassed Battledale, which remained relatively peaceful despite conflicts with Sembia, and Featherdale, which itself felt a Sembian influence in 1418 after maintaining independence for a century. Additionally, Highdale, self-sufficient and nestled strategically, aligned with Cormyr for support in the early 15th century. Mistledale serves as the current capital and the seat of the Dales Council. Each Dale, while sharing a common heritage of independence and a reliance on agriculture and craftsmanship, brings its own unique traditions and social norms. Shadowdale, often the most discussed Dale due to its association with Elminster, the Sage of Shadowdale, is known for its outsized arcane influence. It's nestled in a picturesque valley, with the towering Old Skull Inn making a prominent feature. The village itself, along a crucial roadway between Cormyr and Gentle Keep, is a hub for basic services, including a weaver, a blacksmith, and an inn. Daggerdale offers a stark contrast with its reclusive nature. Closed off and wary of outsiders, this dale lacks the typical amenities like inns or taverns, making it clear the trust must be earned in this community. The lack of hospitality is not out of unfriendliness, but possibly stems from a historical event that has made the locals cautious. Customs and traditions play a significant role in daily life across the Dales, from wearing peace strings to signify non-aggression to the peculiarities surrounding the treatment of cats, believed to be the eyes and messengers of the gods. The Dale folk are generally considered to be kind but superstitious. Dales folk generally trust the elves, with many half-elves as the product of their unions, while some Dales folk remain suspicious of the imperialistic ambitions of House Oberskir of Cormyr. These sentiments have generally faded, however, due to threats from the Empire of Netheril and its Sembian client state to the south, as well as the nations of the Moon Sea. A typical Dales folk would prefer to live in peace, farming and hunting. However, they are always prepared for trouble and keep a sword and bow at the ready. They are known for their willingness to serve in the local militia at the first sign of danger. The hardy individualism of the Dales folk has led many of them to become adventurers. They often have a deep grudge against Sembians and others who have tried to subjugate them. There are many motivations that drive Dales folk to become adventurers. Some do so to hold those accountable who bring harm to the common people. They seek out small communities on the frontier that are imperiled by threats or oppressed by tyrants. Others do so for the thrill of battle. The Dales have been the target of conquest for centuries, and these veterans had developed a zeal for the practice and a desire to protect their lands. Some Dales folk adventurers are children of the alliance between humans and elves. They naturally enjoy exploration and seeking out new experiences. Lastly, some have been forced into exile due to Sembia's conquest of their native lands. Each Dale has unique contributions to the overall economy, ranging from raw materials to artisan products. Archendale, known for its timber and seafood, also holds many cities which manufacture crafted goods. Battledale focuses on agriculture, exporting livestock, cheese, and grain. Highdale is known across Faerun for its copper mines. Passeldale stands out for craftsmanship and trade, exporting fine goods like pottery and textiles. Shadowdale and Mistledale also emphasize agricultural products. The Dalelands often import finished goods and luxury items from major cities like Arabel, Suzail, and Marsember and Cormyr, and from Hillsfar, Selgaunt, and the city of Ordeline and Sembia. These imports include metalwork, jewelry, paper, glassware, and clothing. Given the strategic location of the Dalelands, situated amidst powerful human nations, city-states, and the rejuvenated Elven kingdom, it is unsurprising that their territory has attracted the attention of influential factions across the realms. The elves of Cormanthir, residing north of the Dalelands, initiated a friendship and budding alliance with the neighboring nations long before the Dale folk established themselves as an important society. Despite the passage of time and the reformation of the Dales Compact later in the 15th century, the Dale folk have respected the ancient elven laws concerning the sanctity of the forest, and the pacts have been upheld. A clandestine group of benevolent spies and operatives, the Harpers, share a similar worldview with the Dale folk. Operating more freely in the Dalelands, they include local leaders like Morngrim Amcathra, Storm Silverhand, and the renowned Elminster. The Gentarim pose perhaps the most notorious and dangerous threat to the Dalelands. Throughout history, they spied on, manipulated, raided, and even invaded the region, leading to the destruction of Teschendale and periodic occupations in the Shadowdale and Daggerdale. In addition to these major factions, the Dalelands host several localized groups, such as the Pegasi-mounted Flying Auxiliary safeguarding Highdale, the Silver Ravens of Sembia operating from Scardale Town, and the Stellar Fellowship, an adventuring society headquartered in New Valar. The Silver Ravens, led by Miklos Selkirk, functioned as the personal army of Sembia. Their objectives include gathering intelligence, acquiring magical artifacts, and enhancing Sembia's reputation abroad. To maintain secrecy while operating outside Sembian borders, they conceal their distinctive coat of arms. Miklos views the Silver Ravens as Sembia's counterpart to the Harpers, recognizing the necessity for occasionally engaging in dishonorable actions while prioritizing his loyalty to Sembia above all else. One of the most significant events in Harper history occurred at the dancing place in Highdale on Flame Rule 26 in the year of the Dawn Rose, 720, known as the Gathering of the Gods. This celebrated event saw good aligned deities communicating directly through their priests on Toril. It played a key role in the reformation of the Harpers, whose numbers had been decimated. In response to the increasing threat posed by Orcish tribes near the Dalelands, Ironclar Burlesk rose to prominence as the warlord of Battledale in the Year of Warlords, 1030. Over the next decade, he ascended to become King of the Dales, uniting the region to combat the common enemy and diligently defending against other threats. Unfortunately, his reign ended tragically in the Year of the Singing Shards, 1044, when he was slain by a Draco Lich summoned during a feast. Despite this, Ironcar's officers successfully defeated the undead dragon and its summoner, Alan Conther, and Ironcar was laid to rest in his manor. Following Einkar's death, the Dalelands became fragmented into independent communities, loosely allied through the Dales Council. Civil arrests erupted when the Dusk Lord of Sessrendale was accused of spreading dark magic and plundering caravans with monsters and marauders. Archendale led a decisive assault against the Dusk Lord, resulting in a civil war in the Year of the Weeping Wives, 1232, culminating in the annihilation of the Dusk Lord and the desolation of Sessrendale. In a later conflict, the Lord of Scardale attempted to unify the Dalelands under his rule in the Year of the Worm, 1356. Despite initial victories, his forces were ultimately defeated by a coalition of Dale powers and allied soldiers from Cormyr, Hillsfar, Sembia, and Shenthal Keep. This defeat led to a period of occupation and influence by external powers. The Dales Compact was renewed in 1374, solidifying the alliance between the lands of Battledale, Deepingdale, Mistdale, and Shadowdale. In the late 14th century, Dale Council meetings primarily addressed the escalating threat of drow, Gentarim activities, Sembian aggression, and border disputes among the Dales. The expansionism of Netheril led 4 Dales to withdraw from the Dales Council in the 15th century. Featherdale was peacefully annexed by Sembia in 1418 through land acquisitions, while Tasseldale faced overt invasion by Sembian mercenaries in 1420. Highdale joined Cormyr as a protectorate in 1422 due to council inaction. Scardale was gradually infiltrated and conquered by Sembia. In 1425, the remaining Dales reaffirmed the Dales Compact and restored the Standing Stone as a symbol of unity. By 1479, Asha Benford in Mistledale had become the permanent seat of the Dale Council. Scardale regained independence from Sembia sometime after 1479 and rejoined the Dales Council. After Netheril's defeat in 1487, Featherdale and Tasseldale returned. This was followed by Highdale separating from Cormyr and rejoining as well. The Dalelands faced ongoing conflict in the 15th century as neighboring nations seek control over its resources and people. Several of the Dales, known as Fallen Dales, have been erased from the map of Faerun or in a rapid state of decline. Among the earliest adherents to the Dales Compact, Moondale experienced rapid growth, becoming a thriving nation that forged close ties with Sembia. Its strategic location and burgeoning economy made it an attractive ally, leading to its peaceful annexation by Sembia in 1070. Despite its once promising trajectory, Moondale's absorption into Sembia marked the end of its autonomy and cultural identity within the Dalelands. Founded in the year 880, Sessrendale carved out a territory along the eastern face of the Thunder Peak Mountains, ruled by the enigmatic Dusk Lord. The Sessrendale War, which erupted between Archendale and Sessrendale within the Dalelands in 1232, marked the first major civil war among the Dales. Despite its brevity of only 3 weeks, the conflict was characterized by intense bloodshed, ultimately resulting in the triumph of Archendale and the complete obliteration of Sessrendale. The battleground encompassed both territories, with the focal point being Sessrenglade, the primary settlement of Sessrendale. The roots of the conflict stem from the fractured relationship over territorial disputes in the Thunder Gap. Divergent narratives emerged from both sides, with accusations ranging from necromancy and malevolent activities levied against the enigmatic Dusk Lord of Sessrendale to allegations of trade rivalry and fabricated charges against Sessrendale by the Archenfolk. The spark igniting the war occurred when an Archen caravan was ambushed en route to Cormyr, prompting retaliatory action from Archendale, supported by hired mercenaries and Sembian wizards. The ensuing conflict was described as a harrowing bloodbath, with Archendale eventually emerging victorious after besieging Sessrenglade and overcoming the formidable magical defenses of the Sessren folk. The aftermath witnessed the brutal subjugation of Sessrendale with its inhabitants slaughtered or displaced, and its territory razed and desecrated. Despite the grim victory, Archendale's reputation among the Dales has suffered immensely as a result. The remote, secluded land of Tarchaldale, also known as the Lost Dale, witnessed a gradual decline over centuries, falling prey to incessant attacks from Orcish and Goblinoid tribes. As its defenses weakened, Tarchaldale became vulnerable to external threats, eventually becoming the unlikely refuge for the Sauriels, a scaly-kind race newly transported to Toril. Despite their combined efforts, the land is mostly overrun by orcs and goblinoids. Situated as the northernmost outpost among the Dales, Teschendale faced a dire fate when it fell under the sway of the Gentarim. In 1316, Teschendale was overrun by an orc army under Gentarim influence, leading to its rapid descent into chaos and subjugation. The once proud Dale has become a shadow of its former self, a cautionary tale to the other Dalelands of sembient designs. The Dales have many notable cities and landmarks recognizable throughout the Forgotten Realms. Shadowdale, situated in an idyllic valley west of the Elven Court, is renowned for its picturesque setting. Noble landmarks such as the Old Skull Inn, Watcher's Knoll, and Harper's Hill adorn the village, adding to its distinct character. Positioned along the road connecting Cormyr to Gentle Keep, Shadowdale lies east of the ancient bridge spanning the river Ashaba, serving as a waypoint for travelers traversing the region. As a modest agricultural community, Shadowdale is home to a small population, including several notable figures, such as the esteemed sage Elminster. The village offers essential services, and a variety of buildings cater to diverse needs. Its storied past, chronicled by Elminster himself, has made it the backdrop for numerous renowned tales and legend, widely recognized across Faerun. Guarded by Lord Morngrim and a skilled bow force and militia, Shadowdale has faced numerous challenges over time, from repelling attacks by Gentle Keep to engaging in conflicts with neighboring Scardale. Daggerford, a quaint walled town nestled in the floodplains of the Delimbir River, occupies a strategic location on the river's south bank, serving as a vital crossroads where the trade way intersects the watercourse. The town's landscape is dominated by the modest castle belonging to the Duke of Daggerford. Its namesake marketplace, once bustling with activity, now lends a sense of historical significance to the area. Primarily rural in character, Daggerford comprises various scattered communities whose inhabitants share common rural values and pursuits, particularly centered around farming and hunting. The town is known for its closed-off demeanor, reflecting the reserved nature of its populace, displaying a lack of hospitality towards travelers, evident in the absence of inns, hostels, or taverns. Arkenbridge, an ancient city steeped in history, boasts a venerable past, evident in its weathered stone structures and age-old architecture. Its enduring preservation is remarkable, with the majority of its edifices standing proud and untouched by the relentless passage of time. The city's gateway has bronze doors which adorn the lesser arches. Once within the city confines, Archenbridge's central thoroughfare is flanked by orderly blocks of buildings adorned with intricate designs and decorations. Noteworthy landmarks punctuate Archenbridge's landscape, including the revered temple, the enchanting fountain of Nepenthe, and the waters leading to Miracle's realm. The city's meticulous attention to craftsmanship, evident in its construction, mirrors the renowned dwarven dedication to beauty and precision. Beyond its aesthetic allure, Archenbridge serves as a bustling hub for traders and merchants, boasting warehouses, inns, taverns, and other essential establishments. Its strategic location, near the underground river and at the mouth of the River Mirar, cements its significance as an important point in the region. Daggerdale, distinct from the city of Daggerford, originally called Merrydale, resides as a remote region within the Dalelands, nestled between the Desert's Mouth Mountains and the Dagger Hills. It features dark forests, with Dagger Falls standing as its primary settlement. The majority of Daggerdale's populace consists of hunters and farmers dwelling in small villages and isolated homesteads. They harbor a general distrust of outsiders, influenced by the frequent attacks from bandits and monsters, and worsened by Gentarim interference during the 14th century. Generally, Daggerdale's inhabitants prefer solitude. Since 1369, Randall Warren has reclaimed the Dale. He employed his freedom riders to expel threats, supplemented by mercenary bands to safeguard the scattered farmlands. By 1480, the Lord's retinue, a fighting force of 150 mounted warriors, patrolled the Dale and its roads, stationed mainly in Castle Daggerdale at Dagger Falls. Daggerdale's economy revolves around subsistence crops, furs, and livestock, notably sheep, although beryl deposits in the Dagger Hills hint at emerald mining potential. The looming threat of lycanthrope attack deters exploration. Most manufactured goods are imported. Its history traces back to its initial settlement by dwarfs, followed by the Jomdothian settlers, who established a small keep in the Dagger Hills. Subsequent events led to the collapse of neighboring realms and the rise of various rulers, including the Morn family, whose influence peaked in 796 DR. The Morn family faced challenges from master vampires and lycanthropes, eventually renaming the land Daggerdale in 796. Their rule saw prosperity and turmoil, with brief control under Ironclar, the mantled king. The family's decline culminated at Calderon Morn's tyrannical reign and subsequent overthrow. In 1316, Gentarim agents began infiltrating Daggerdale, culminating in the claim of Dagger Falls by the Black Network in 1336. Randall Morn's resistance to this escalated into a civil war by 1369. Capitalizing on Gent distractions, Randall Morn reclaimed Dagger Falls. After Randall Morn's demise in 1391, Sathrin Cormoril assumed control, succeeded by his son Dovamos and later Barathol. Werewolf attacks and Gentarim threats continued to plague Daggerdale, leading to a significant conflict in 1480. Daggerdale's rugged terrain and dense woodlands isolate its farmlands. Notable locations include the Border Forest and the Desert's Mouth Mountains. The Tilverton Scar, a wide and steep-sided gorge known as the Scar Cut by the river Ashaba, stretches along the final 80 miles of its course. Its northern escarpment extends eastward to the coast, delineating a natural boundary for the town of Scardale. Below the cliff, the river widens into Scar Harbor, serving as the town's docking facility. Positioned between the Scar and Port Ashaba, the Gentillar, an occupying force, established their garrison in Scardale, comprising roughly half a dozen buildings enclosed by a hastily constructed wall on the outskirts of town. This fortress stands considerably distant from the former Cormyrian garrison tower near the west gate. The Tilverton Scar has historically been a focal point of conflict between Cormyr and Scardale, marked by occupations and disputes. The area, notorious for trollish attacks on travelers, renders the river perilous. The region is renowned for its wilderness, teeming with peculiar creatures and hazards. The Tilverton Scar and its environs invoke an interest and apprehension from neighboring realms. The Great Dale is a land situated in the unapproachable east of northeast Faerun. Governed by a druidic hierarchy led by the Nentiarch, it is home to a predominantly human population. Originally part of the Narfell Empire, the Great Dale was settled by humans fleeing the fall of Jomdoth. However, conflicts such as the war between Narfell and Raumathar led to the abandonment of the area. In the 1370s, it serves as a frontier for the expanding kingdom of Impiltur. Geographically, the Great Dale is characterized by its location between the Forest of Lethir and the Rollins Wood, a space created in ancient times by the arm of a great glacier. Legend speaks of a great dragon or divine intervention from Sylvanas and Shaundakul shaping the land. A single major road, known as the Great Road, or simply the Road, traverses the Dale, connecting Uthmere with the Cold Road. Its climate is harsh, with fierce winter winds. Notable locations include the haunted Great Barrow, the ruins of Val Merthog, a city once central to the demonic cult ruling Narfell, and the Fearward Mountains, serving as natural boundaries between Narfell, Rashomon, and the Great Dale. These mountains are inhabited by various creatures, including bugbears, frost giants, tire clans, and demonic trolls lurking in the extensive Underdark caverns. Each dale in the Dalelands has its own unique identity, shaped by its geography, history, and circumstances, each with unique establishments, institutions, places, and individuals. In Faerun, where empires rise through blood, magic, and the domination of other beings, the Daleland stands for one simple idea: freedom. Instead of relying on arcane institutions or kings for protection, they rely on their citizenry. Despite facing numerous challenges in the contemporary period, efforts by those who consider their ideas dangerous or even revolutionary have thus far been unable to place them under the yoke of tyranny. The Dalelands continues to endure as proof that the strength of a nation is not in arcane trinkets or immortal kings, but in its people.